Hey guys, it's finally here, the Insta360 Ace Pro 2. And let me start by saying that this is a really nice looking camera. However, there have been a few issues that have been raised online, and I just wanted to take the opportunity and use this initial video to go through some of those things, because some of these things could potentially be deal breakers. I'm not going to sit here and talk to you about all the subtle features, because we can do that later. We can check out all the reviews that have already come up on YouTube. What I want to talk about in this video is some of the reasons why you may not want to get this camera, and I wanted to either prove or dispel some of the myths that have been posted online recently since the release of this camera, and see if these are actually valid concerns, because these might be some of the reasons why you may want to give this camera a miss and perhaps get something else. So let's get on with it. This is a very nice looking camera. It has the same kind of design of the flip up screen that you saw in the Insta360 Go 3 and the Go 3S, and that is super useful if you're a vlogger like me. And like I said in the previous video, I bought this camera with the sole aim of using it as a content creator and a vlogger rather than an adventure person. I'm not going to be jumping out of planes. I'm not going to be jumping off cliffs. I'm not going to be doing like deep sea diving. I'm going to use it to make videos like this. I'm going to use this camera to make tech reviews, lifestyle reviews, maybe some travel and things like that. And whether this camera is suitable, I think it is. There have been a lot of debate, a lot of conjecture about maybe there's something massively wrong with this camera, because let me start from the beginning. I ordered this camera, I think on October 22 or something like that. That was on the release day, and the website had promised that it would ship out within a week. After a week, I got no notification of what's happening, so I actually went online and messaged Insta360, and after a little bit of to and fro, they came back with a thing like, yes, we're going to expedite your order, but however, it's out of stock. And immediately as you look into the Insta360 website, this camera and all its iterations, i.e. all the different packs or combos, they were all out of stock. I personally purchased the Creator Combo. With the standard combo, you get the camera and you get 2 batteries. With the Creator Combo, you get the camera, you get 3 batteries, you get the charger, you get a memory card, you get a screen protector for this thing, and you get this 2-in-1 selfie stick. And it costs almost $900 or something like that. And after a couple of weeks, it's still not shipped, still more to and fro. And they kept saying it was out of stock, it was out of stock, it was out of stock. I just assumed at the time that the demand was stripping out the supply and eventually it was going to get back into stock and it'd be fine. But then I started reading online, and there were numerous reports from different sources where they may have actually pulled this camera off the market because there were some major flaws in it. Number one was the fact that they said that for some people the lens was fogging up. There were issues with the close focusing distance. There were just little things which made me a little bit nervous. And having not received the camera for a few weeks and reading all these reviews, it made me just a little bit apprehensive about when I got this camera. The other thing that happened was during the time that I was waiting, the Black Friday sale started and the camera actually went on sale. And I messaged Insta360, and to their credit, they actually gave me a refund or a reimbursement of the amount of money that I would have saved if I ordered the camera at the time. So that's a thumbs up from me from that. Finally, it came, it's here. And I've used it for about a week, just generally just walking around, doing stuff like going to the mall with it, going for a walk with it and things like that. And so far, I've actually really enjoyed using this camera. And the good thing so far is that I have yet to experience any of the issues that all these other people are talking about. There are clearly many videos on YouTube with people reviewing this camera, but if you check it out, the majority of these videos are paid promotions. So it's some form or another, Insta360 has actually sent the creator the camera. I guess when you watch videos where there is a paid promotion part involved, where there's some sort of financial or some sort of perk for the creator, there may be a little bit of bias in terms of the review. And I can guarantee you now, I paid full price, and more than full price. I did get a little bit of money back, but I paid full price for this camera. There was no partnership of any sort with Insta360. So I feel very comfortable sitting here and telling you exactly what I think of it. I'm going to go through some of the alleged deal breakers, some of the major flaws that have been quoted with this camera, and I just want to tell you whether I've experienced any of these and whether I've not. Before I switch over, because the rest of this video hopefully is going to be completely filmed on the Insta360 Ace Pro 2, before I flipped over to the other camera, I just wanted to show you one thing that I didn't like about this 2-in-1 selfie stick, and that is with a lot of these kind of collapsible, foldable selfie sticks, this is the minimum height that you can have, you know, when it's set up. But if you have a look at this one, when you open the legs, you can see here that this foot thing is higher than the feet, which means that this is not the base height that you can get for this tripod. What you have to do is to have to factor in that the bottom leg or the bottom extending pole has to be higher than the feet. So really you have to assume that this is about as low as this selfie stick tripod thing goes. It's not exactly a deal breaker, but just bear that in mind that you cannot use this as a tripod when it's tucked all the way in, and that it has to be kind of up there before you use it. So if that's a problem for you, there are plenty of other options. This is not a deal breaker, but I just wanted to point this out to you before we get on with the rest of this video. Now, as I'm filming this video, this is set on the vlog preset. I'm using the built-in internal microphone, and I've got the Insta360 Ace Pro 2 mounted on the 2-in-1 selfie stick that it came with the content creation package. And this is about the length that I would normally hold any camera when I vlog. A lot of people have mentioned that the close focusing distance of this camera, which is touted to be 37 centimeters or so, which is an improvement on the original Insta360 Ace Pro, which was 40 centimeters. A lot of people are saying that holding it in a vlogging stance like this, that their face is blurry and only the background is in focus. That's not a good thing if that's the case. This is my preferred length of holding the camera. Nobody holds it up here because even if it's in focus, it's useless because your face is going to look totally fat and distorted and it looks horrible. And also, no one's going to hold it out here because it's uncomfortable and looks weird. At the normal holding distance, which is here, it'd be interesting to see whether my face is completely in focus or whether my face is not sharp and only the background sharp, because if that's the case, then this camera is not fit for purpose. In the experiences I have had in the last week using this camera, I have not found this to be the case, and I found that the focus on my face like this is quite reasonable. I think we can kind of dispel that myth of the fact that this does not focus close enough to be a vlogging camera. This is not designed, obviously, to be a macro close-up camera. So if you're going to be pointing this camera, taking videos of small flowers and stuff like that, and you want the flower to fill the screen, you're going to be mildly disappointed, but you just got to be aware that this is not the purpose of this camera, and you did not buy it for that reason. Over the last week or so in Sydney, it's been super hot, it's been super dry. I guess that's not the ideal scenario to reproduce the next concern about this camera, and that is fogging in the lens. I don't exactly know the people who have reported this issue, whether it's because the camera's been underwater. I don't know whether it's because they've gone to a really humid place. And do you know how sometimes where you're in an air-conditioned like mall in Southeast Asia and you go outside and it's 99.9999% humidity and everything is just wet? I don't know whether that's the scenario where people are finding this problem, but so far in Sydney, in the end of November, where it's been stinking hot, I've not had any issues with any lens fogging whatsoever. One thing that distinguishes a good video from a very poor video is audio quality. This Insta360 Ace Pro 2 is touted to have a really good built-in internal microphone system. Right now, we've got the windshield attached to the Insta360 Ace Pro 2. This is supposedly the ideal setup when it comes to using the built-in microphone, but it comes with one caveat, and that is, whilst this windshield is on, it renders the camera not waterproof. This is something to be super wary of, because if you're using it normally, I would have this windshield thing on because I think it sounds the best. And actually, when I go through some of the footage from the last week, assuming that there's not heaps and heaps of other peripheral noise, I actually have found that this windshield has done a really good job and the audio is actually really good. Like I said, if you're doing a mixture of stuff and you're going somewhere where there may potentially be rain, or where then potentially you may be filming on a beach or something where it's likely that this camera will get wet, the windshield is not the appropriate thing to put on this camera. And what this camera does come with, let me show you, is this tiny little thing. It is so small. It comes with all the kits, not just to create a combo, and this takes the place of the windshield. And this is the cover you need to put on when you're using this camera in a wet environment. The problem is you're going to have to, one, remember to bring it. Two, is you're going to remember to put it on. So if you suddenly get the camera wet, that's not going to work. And look how small this thing is. What are the chances of this thing at some point not getting lost, misplaced, fall down the side of the car, fall into the ocean, fall out of your pocket, whatever? What are the chances of this thing never disappearing. And the sad thing about this thing is you only get one of these, and if you want to buy a replacement on the Insta360 website, it's like $33 or something Australian. That's a ludicrous price for something like this, but this is what you need to put on if you're going to be near a water environment, so bear that in mind. So this is what it sounds like using the internal microphone with the windshield. I'm going to go through a couple of other scenarios and compare the quality of the sound when I do a few different things. So let's go. So all the settings of this camera remain the same, but the difference is I've got the non-wind shield thing on here. So this is the wind shield that's on. There's a little piece of foam on the inside, which obviously muffles some of the external sound and makes this no longer a waterproof solution. But I've got the normal microphone cover on it now, and I don't know whether the sound sounds any better because I can't physically hear it right now. I'll obviously know when I'm in the edit. Let me know in the comments whether this sounds better, worse, the same, and how much worse it sounds, because it does make a difference, because audio is really important. And I would think that I would use this one most of the time, but when I'm going on holidays and I'm potentially going to be near a beach or where it starts raining, I want to put that on. Is this something that's serviceable? Is it something that's usable? Is it something that's acceptable? For a vlog like this, a train's just going past right now. How much of the train can you hear? And last but not least, this is the DJI wireless mic. This came with my Osmo Pocket 3, and it connects seamlessly to this Ace Pro 2 by just going to the Bluetooth setting, and it takes like 2 seconds to connect. And the good thing about it is it actually remembers that this microphone exists. So if you're going to swap this over and end up using it for the Osmo Pocket 3 for a while and then come back on this, the Ace Pro 2 actually remembers that this microphone exists, and the Bluetooth connection is really good. The question, more importantly, is whether the sound quality here is any good. So I'm just holding it. Normally I'd clip it to my shirt, but right now I'm just holding it. Whether this sound quality is any better or any worse than using the windshield, or whether it's any better or any worse than using the standard microphone cover, you be the judge. Again, I will go through this as I go through the edit because I can't tell what it sounds like right now. But leave a comment below and let me know which one you think out of the three gives the best sound quality for this camera. I do feel like I've addressed some of the major worries that a lot of people would have getting this camera. Those kind of things, you know, the close focusing distance and the fogging would be something that would be really difficult and annoying to live with. So hopefully this camera doesn't actually suffer from any of those issues. Another thing that I just thought of was this whole issue with overheating. Now, a lot of small cameras, not just Insta360, all of the smaller cameras, GoPros, DJI, all these tiny cameras, even some of the Sony, I had issues with the Sony ZV-1. Overheating can be a problem. I remember with the Sony ZV-1, I took it to one of those kiddie farm things where we spent the day walking around feeding horses and alpacas and things, and the camera kept overheating and kept dying, so I couldn't actually record any video. So far, I don't feel like I've had an issue with the Ace Pro 2. I have used it quite a lot over the last week when it's been super hot. I took it out to the hardware store, did some video there, and I filmed some stuff outdoors. And even though it was 37 degrees outside and I had the camera basically on for like half an hour at a time, I didn't notice any overheating issues. Yes, the camera does get a bit warm, but that's to be expected. Your iPhone gets warm when you put it in the Qi charger for a while. I haven't noticed any issues with overheating with this camera either, which is a good thing. And I have been experimenting with some of the different video settings, and I haven't done all of them. I've done a few short time lapses. I've done some slow motion video, which I'll show you in a separate video. They seem to be of pretty good quality as well. There are so many options. There's so many things that I can learn about this camera. There's just so many modes, so many settings, so many high-end specs of this camera that it blows my mind that something that is so small and that is relatively cheap can have so much tech in it. I'm so far actually really loving this camera. Low light conditions is something that I have yet to test. We haven't really been able to go out that much in the last week because one of our kids has COVID. I want to look into that as well. I have very low expectations of any small camera in low light. You see, people are a little bit unrealistic when it comes to low light. They think that they can pretty much just video in the dark and expect that the video not be grainy, and that's really unrealistic, especially with a camera with a sensor this size. So I am hoping that, like, realistically, what would I want in terms of low light video for a camera like this? I would mainly use it, I would think, when I was traveling. So maybe if I was walking around the city at night, or if I was going to like a theme park at night, as long as the video quality was acceptable under those circumstances and that the video wasn't grainy. That's really all I would expect, and obviously I'm not in a position, unfortunately, of going to Disneyland to test that out, but I will try to test out some of the low light features in a later video. But so far so good with this camera. I have not noticed anything drastically bad about this camera so far. The battery life so far has been great. I love the flip up selfie screen. I love the video quality that I've seen so far, and I think that the audio is really good. Like I said, I haven't gone through this particular video and gone through the 3 different elements I've demonstrated, the one with the windshield, the one with the standard cover, and also with the DJI wireless mics. I will look through that in the edit, and hopefully all 3 of them perform well. I'm hoping that I won't need the Bluetooth external microphone because the built-in one is good enough. I'm a little bit hesitant about continually changing the little windshield with the standard microphone cover because I've got a feeling I'm going to lose one of them, or I'm going to find myself in a situation where I want to have the waterproof one and I don't have it because all of a sudden I've decided to go somewhere that's raining or near a beach, but I'm just going to have to deal with that. I don't want to have to continually change the covers because I'm sure I'm going to lose one. So right now, if you were to ask me in this very short amount of time that I've had this camera whether I would consider ordering it if I hadn't already got one, the answer is a yes. I don't know the wait time right now. Last time I checked, it said within 30 days. So if you order it now, I guess you'd get it before Christmas. I haven't encountered any major deal-breaking flaws of this camera. I know that right now there's so many good quality cameras. You can't really go wrong with this one, the latest GoPro Hero 13, or the DJI Osmo Action 5. I really think that, is it the 5? I think it's 5. I just think with all these cameras, with the amount of tech that is around these days, I don't think you can actually go wrong with any of these cameras. If you want specific features that are available on one and not the other, for example, the DJI has a built-in storage, which this one doesn't. The GoPro Hero has a larger assortment of interchangeable lenses, which this one doesn't. They might be things that will sway you one direction or the other. The pricing is probably all very similar, so I wouldn't base any of these decisions on price. You just got to do and get the one that you think is going to be most suitable for your needs, and this one currently fills my needs very, very well. So thank you for watching this short video. I will try to demonstrate some of the low light capabilities of the camera in a future video. Leave a comment below if you have any questions or anything else you'd like me to test in regards to any of the major concerns you have with this camera. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time in another video. Bye.